Hello again, YouTube. So basically I've already explained everything that I've done to this head, and it's pretty much finished now, so we'll move on from that to the bottom end. Just in case, this is the sticker of the guy that I bought the engine off in the first place. I rang several wreckers all over Australia from the top to the bottom, and as soon as I said 22R engine, they just said nope, don't have one. A lot of them I don't think even looked or knew. They just weren't interested, but this guy actually took the time to track me one down and then ship it from his place down to Dubbo. So yeah, if you're looking for something, they're well worth talking to. The only part I haven't got for this head now is the rocker assembly. This is the one that's off it, and when using a new camshaft, you can't really put these back on. They won't show up in the video, but on the rockers along the side there, and you can see where the shiny bit is, that is all worn, and I can feel a pretty good ridge there with my fingers, so they're far too worn to go back on. Same with the adjuster nuts there. I'll try and zoom in. The adjusters have got that shiny piece on them. They're worn down as well, so they're no longer flat, and some of them look like they've been hit with a ballpoint hammer all day. Given the condition of the oil, like you can see how black it was on the shaft. This engine was not looked after before it overheated, so I'm willing to bet that these shafts are just pretty much screwed. I can get an entire assembly off eBay out of the US for $200, and they claim that the shipping is free, so I'm assuming they're probably Chinese made, but probably okay. If anyone knows where we can buy this assembly in Australia, I'd be glad to hear about it. Also, if you've got any questions about this or any of my other videos or methods that I've used to do things, please ask, because I know what it was like when I was looking, trying to get help. Okay, this is the engine block. It's looking in pretty sad condition here at the moment. It's been there for about 6 months. I'm only saving a bit of money up, and then it'll be going over to the machine shop. It'll be getting line board. Now what that means is they'll set it up in their mill and ensure that the crank area here is perfectly round and each journal is perfectly in line with each other, and also square in relation to the block. So some people call it tunnel boring or line boring, but it's really only necessary to help reduce friction of the rotating crank. The more friction you can eliminate in an engine, the more power you're likely to get out of it. I'm not building this engine to be a horsepower hero, because they're just not. They're just a Toyota engine, and they'll never be anything great without some sort of forced induction. But stock they're about 100 horsepower, and as I carry a lot of tools and weight for my business, I'm sort of shooting for around 130 to 140, which is a pretty good improvement, but mainly I'm looking for torque. As it is with the other mods that I've already explained in a previous video, where I've put a K&N filter on and the extractors and a 2 1/4 exhaust, I can now get up and down hills pulling a trailer without having to shift out a fifth, so that's pretty good. Okay, I've got the Welsh plugs out of the block, so when it goes to the machine shop and get hot tanked, it will clean all of the gunk out of the cooling galleries. I'll see if I can tip this up here. Okay, the bores in this weren't too bad considering the abuse the engine copped. I'll be boring it out 40 thou or 1mm. Not for any real improvement gain. When you do the calculations per cylinder of what, 1mm oversize, the whole 4 cylinders only add up to say about a half a teaspoon worth of extra cc, so you wouldn't bore it out to try and gain power, because it'll be so negligible you wouldn't notice. So basically, once they bore that out 40 thou, again trying to keep the cylinders in line with the center line of the crank, again reducing friction. You want the pistons to be able to come straight up and down without any major sideways thrust causing drag. Then I'll have them deck the block, ensuring that this surface is square to the surface we had tunnel bored earlier. That will help ensure that when you put all the crank and your rods and everything in, that you have the same stroke on each cylinder. For example, if this one was down 5 thou lower than this one, then your stroke and therefore your compression ratio would be different. Stroke might not be the correct term, but I hope I'm getting across what I'm trying to say. Okay, over here I have a brand new crank. It came from Roland Automotive Imports, I believe in Burleigh Heads in Queensland. I'm pretty sure this is just a Chinese remake. I haven't had it out of the bag yet because I'm not ready to do anything with it. But it'll be going over to the machine shop this week, and they'll be setting it up in the crank grinder and ensuring that each lobe has the same throw, thereby ensuring that each rod travels the same distance and you have the same stroke and therefore the same compression in each cylinder. Once I've confirmed that, I will be getting the block board, and then I'll be assembling it with this crank, the prep rods and my brand new pistons, and then I'll be measuring on the top of the block with a feeler gauge and ruler the piston protrusion. I'm shooting for about 6 thou per piston protrusion above the top of the block, because that's close to what the stock engines have. You want to try and keep the quench area against the head because that promotes power. Lack of quench will cause loss of power. So when I get the money saved up, hopefully by next week, I will film what's being done. Okay, bye.